Hello, can everyone hear me out there? All right, yeah?
Yep.
All right, that's perfect. Normally, when I start these streams, there's always just one person that can't hear somebody, but yeah, this is good today. So yeah, just do a quick intro. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. We've got Sean from Fan Feuds and we've got Dom from Number 9. The links to both of those channels are in the description below, so go and subscribe to both of those. So yeah, this one's a takeover talk. I was going to kind of run through the whole thing from the start of where it all began, but there's been so much news today, like there's been so much gone off that we could probably just cover that, to be honest. So start off with Dom, because you're just right next to me. But yeah, what's your takings of today? What do you think of it all?
Yeah, I mean, Liam Kennedy earlier on was saying join the dots, but the problem is with that, many people can join different dots. So, I think that the Premier League have shot themselves in the foot over divulging things that they shouldn't do. But, it's only going to be more pressure and more things for them to push through this takeover at the end, or at least give us an answer.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mad one. There's been a lot of stuff revealed today. Like, what do you think about it as well, Sean?
I haven't actually caught too much of it today. I've just been looking at it whilst on a lecture for the past 2 hours. But I think the Premier League, it's just getting worse and worse for them. I think the longer it drags out, it's just going to look even worse, and the repercussions are just going to be even bigger for them the longer they leave it. They should have just cleared it up, just let the takeover through, and just try to like bury all this. But it's all going to come out now. I think it's too late for them. I think
that's exactly what they should have done. What do you think to, like, Dom's just mentioned a second ago with like the dots and everybody's joining different dots? Like, what dots do you make? Because I have got no idea.
Nah, yeah, I'm the same. I think it's just every time you come to some sort of conclusion, something else comes out just to throw that thinking into doubt. I think Newcastle fans have been awesome, over this whole saga. It's just, if anything, it's been a laugh. Like just watching like all like the conspiracies about the bread and all that. Just it's mental.
Oh, the bread. Even the bread was popping up yesterday. I had to put a comment on his post saying there's still time to delete this. Like, you don't have to post this photo of the bread this early in the morning. The fans are just going to jump all over it. As it's been fun. It has been fun. It's started to get a little bit stressful at the minute, though. Just knowing what's going on. What do you think to Ben Jacobs? What do you think to his involvement? Obviously he's got ties to beIN Sports. Obviously, it doesn't work for them anymore, but I guarantee you we've still got friends there, and we all know who they're friends with. So, yeah, what do you think of that, first of all, Don? What do you think, like, Ben Jacobs? Do you think he knows anything, or do you think it's just talk?
I keep saying in tweets, that there's more leaks in the Premier League than a hedgehog in a dinghy. But at the same time, it's what he's come out with is kind of right, but at the same time, it's more of his own view on the whole takeover saga. But we can't give a definitive answer on anything at the moment. We just have to sit tight and watch this unfold. Eventually, we will get our answer, and hopefully very soon.
It'll take a long time, though, couldn't it?
Yeah. It's taking you too long, yeah.
And what do you think, Sean? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, we've got this QC on Nick the Marble, and we've also got this Donahue as well. But the Premier League is saying that they can work with one thing at a time because it's they're just getting the same answers, but they're not really. It's two different junctions to a legal claim. So I don't see why they needed all this extra time just to give it technically just a no comment.
That's what it's turned out to be. Has somebody got a microphone up a little bit there? I'm getting a bit of feedback in me. I don't know if it's feedback or...
I'll
Can
try
you hear
and unplug mine, just see if I can...
Well, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. And
Oh no, I can still hear it, like...
I think it might be coming from Dom's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear me talking from like a minute ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on mute there, like, instead of like...
Just while Dom's sorting out, what do you think about it anyway, Sean? Like, what do you think about...
If I'm honest, mate, I stopped paying attention to everyone's like little snippet or input to what they know. I think people might know little snippets, but until it comes through like the official channels, like I don't believe anyone actually knows. For a period, I was convinced I was convinced that the Saudis probably didn't even know. I reckon they were just the money behind the whole deal, and like the only ones that truly know is like Amanda Staveley and partly the Rubin brothers. I genuinely don't think anybody knows what the crack is. People might know like snippets or rumors, but that's all it is.
I think they've not got a clue. But I think with Ben Jacobs, like he came out today and he literally says, "I've spoken to my source at the Premier League, and you know he's told me that they're not worried about it. The Premier League aren't worried about it. So what do you think the reasons why they're not worried about it? I do have an inkling myself. It's something I've got here. I just want to quickly read out so you've got some kind of a way of thinking about this. It's something that Red Rose Shell put up the other week. Do you know what, lads? I'm so sorry, man. I was basically saying about the feedback and everything, and Dom's searching around on his computer there for ages. I've just realised it was me. So sorry, lads. I apologise. It was me. I had my phone on that whole time, and it was making that feedback. But yeah, some of the Shell put up, and it's just the first paragraph in this, so I won't read the whole thing. But this is to do with the letter from the fans. So it says, "I think the PL will respond because the letter was made public and they will want to avoid any possible criticism. However, as I tweeted, I expect it will be to ask for more time or to challenge the letter entirely. Generally," and this is the important part, "generally, to have legal standing, you are required to be directly financially affected by a decision." So the question I've got for you guys, first of all, Dom, how were they? And first of all, I'm not slagging off the consortium. I think it's a great thing they're doing. I love what they're doing. I stand by it. But how were they financially affected by the decision that ultimately there wasn't a decision, apparently, was there? It's...
Yeah, but for it to be financially, detrimental to the club, they would have had to string them along and then give them the no-go. But because there hasn't been an answer to it all, it's not really been financially detrimental to the club, and also the fact that we still haven't had an answer. So, but at the end of the day, Mike Ashley's still in charge of our club, whether we like it or not.
But I think, sorry, just about him, but I mean, with the fans consortium, like, in what way were they financially and directly? I get it. Indirectly, there's the money that's going into the local area and the club and whatnot. But in the court of law and in legal eyes, in what way were the fans consortium directly affected by a decision that, as we said, didn't happen directly? Directly.
What over their legal claim?
Over the decision for the takeover to not happen and for it all to be not made public.
Well, not really, because they've not had to actually put their hands in the pockets, because really just a notice of intent is free. I mean, I could send Sean a letter of intent of legal action, but it wouldn't cost me anything. But if I then went further and actually, went further with the case, then it would cost. But just to serve a letter of legal intent doesn't really cost you anything.
No. But the decision on the takeover, like, did that affect the fans consortium directly? No. So
Not financially, but
So-
you've got to
really.
think, why would the lawyer take on that case if there was nothing in it? Because surely they would know that from day dot and say, you haven't got a case here, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. There's got to be something that we just don't know about in the background, and there's got to be something there. Maybe like, is there a potential of like silent investors or silent partners? Is there that potential, and it's just not being made public? They don't want it public. It's just theory. Anybody that's watching this, like, I'm not claiming to know anything or have any sources or anything. It's just theory. But could that be?
Sorry about it. Can you buy shares in Newcastle United? As in,
No.
so it's not like publicly listed.
No, it's not
public.
public.
It's probably a dumb question.
Not voted on the stock market.
Used to be.
Because you could buy like one share, couldn't you? Then you could legally state a claim.
Yeah. That's it. Well, I think even if you was to buy one share, you still wouldn't legally have a say. Well, you would, but you'd need all the other shareholders to agree with that in order for it to mean anything. Just a lone voice is not enough. But yeah, they got greedy, didn't they, with football? All the owners, they wanted to turn it into a business, and they saw the profit in it. So they changed it. But if going on that, if there's no direct financial cost to them, like I just don't see how they can take them to court unless they have got some involvement with the club. Because the way I see it, and this is just opinion, is like it's only really Mike that's been, and the surrounding area. Even that itself is an indirect thing. It's an indirect thing. It's only Mike who has been directly, or anybody else that owns a club. So maybe, is it possible that these guys already own a share in Newcastle United silently? Is that a possibility as well?
Could be. Does anyone know who they actually are?
No, I don't really. I think I
don't know them by name.
I think the information's out there. Like, it's not hidden. They're not trying to hide from anybody around. People know, but just myself personally, I'm not sure who they are. I know they've had stuff to do with other takeovers, though, haven't they? So it's not the first time that they've actually gone through this type of case before. So they do know what they're doing. And, as Sean just said a moment ago, the QC is not going to take it on unless he thinks that there's something there. But it's just so confusing. Everything's so conflicting. Everything that we see is conflicting. Some good news that did come out today, though, is Mike Ashley. That's been now confirmed that he is actually going down the league. We kind of knew already, but there was a lot of banter online. People saying, it's all, I'm not going to swear because your missus told me not to, but it's all a load of rubbish. I nearly did swear there, but yeah, it's all a load of rubbish. So, how have you felt about that, Dom? Like, from the start, have you always felt that Mike's heart's been in it, or have you just thought that he's not gonna...
I think at the start maybe it was. But after the rise of bringing Kevin Keegan back into the club, and then undermining him by bringing in the troll, that is Dennis Wise,
director of football.
It totally blew up in his face, and from there on, he's not given monkeys, to be honest with you. It's only been a vehicle of cash and a vehicle of his advertisements. So no, possibly at the beginning, yeah, but now, no.
No. And what about you, Sean? Have you?
Yeah, I agree with Dom. I think probably initially, I don't think he probably understood what he was getting himself in for when he's buying a football club. Don't get us wrong, he's a very small businessman, but yeah, like just over the years, and I think as the financial impacts on an owner over the last 13 years has been massive. Like the amount of money that is involved in the game now is unbelievable. And I think he openly admitted that he can't compete with some of these other clubs. And I just don't think he's got any interest. I think it's just it was just an avenue of income for him. But obviously, as time's gone on and COVID's happened, I think he's losing too much money, and I think that was the reason, probably one of the main decisions that he's caused him to actually go through with it and go for the sale.
I think if he'd have had the right advisors, though, from the start, the very start, he would have been able to compete with some of these other clubs. It's just the fact that he fell behind so early with some of the big mistakes, like it's just mentioned Dennis Wise. Like that was the first sign. It's like, hold on, Dennis Wise, director of football. You've just brought in Kevin Keegan, local here, and then you just took his job from him. Basically, he couldn't make his team his own. He was bringing in players, or he was wanting to bring in players that Keegan had never even heard of, and telling him to go and watch YouTube videos. Go and watch this video on YouTube. That's not how you do stuff, so I'm not surprised Keegan walked out. It was sad the way it happened. Would you take Keegan back? Obviously, if he'd come back and Mike Ashley left, would you? Maybe not as manager, but like as some role in the club.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would take him as probably like an ambassador to the club. I think his days of being a manager have been long gone. He's been out of the game for so long. But he's always had Newcastle in his heart, and I would love to see him at the club in some capacity. But that won't happen with Mike Ashley around. So there would have to be a takeover for that.
Yeah. And so just there in the comments, we've got James Brown. He's a regular to the show. I've said it before. I don't think it's the James Brown. Hope it is the James Brown. But he says, the PL have shot themselves in the foot today. So, they think they did cock up big time. They think it's going to have an effect on them, what's gone on today.
I think they're getting to the point of scrambling now. They're just it's getting worse and worse, like the professionalism from the Premier League. And the recent interview when the Premier League were in Parliament, I would love to see another video from the body language specialist, because even to the untrained eye, he just did not look comfortable one bit.
Yeah, he's a good lad, that Believing Bruce.
Yeah.
He's done a couple of Newcastle ones now. I think he's a Newcastle fan himself, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a Toon fan. I think that's why he did the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
And I think he did a show with Steve Wraith once as well, ages ago. I'm sure he's done a show with Steve.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe we should Dom, like, you speak to Steve and that, so tell him to get him to speak to Believing Bruce and get him on it with the thing, because I'd love to get the body language expert could just reveal so much. Same as Ben Jacobs. Do you think he needs to be questioned because of his comments today? Obviously, he's revealed that he's got a source at the Premier League, and all this stuff is, it's confidential information. But he's just talking about it on Twitter like it's nothing. Like he needs to be arrested or something.
Yeah.
It's bad, isn't it?
Like he's obviously, like I say, there's more leaks than a hedgehog and a dinghy, but it's wrong. It's obviously journalism is journalism, and you've always got to have someone inside who you can trust to get things out. But at the same time, over a confidential situation, these things should not get out. And unfortunately, we've seen it time and time again. Things that are confidential are seeing light very quickly. But I wouldn't take much notice of what he is saying, but what he has said is possibly on the right side of things. But no, I wouldn't pay much attention to how it's been put.
I think it's just clickbait.
Yeah.
Basically, what's happened throughout the full saga.
Just clickbait. That's what it's been at it, and this is why, like, I see him on Twitter. I'm always moaning, and I'm always flipping, having a go at people and moaning about journalists and that. But I just want to see everybody seeing both sides of the coin. And I find with a lot of the journalists, they don't portray that, because bad news doesn't sell so well. You know, people like to see bad news and stuff, but when it comes to football and something that's close to your heart, people don't want to hear it. People want to be told, "Oh, this takeover is happening next week." You know, my best mates, you know, dads, uncles, cat, as you know, he's heard it somewhere. That's what people want to hear, and inevitably, it just leads to heartbreak every single time. And I'm sick of it. Like it's led to this week, the fan base has just been falling out online, and everybody's been going in on each other. And we need some good news. We need some good news. So yeah. Anyway, Liam NUFC says, as top lawyers are expensive, surely Mike Ashley or someone with deep pockets would be backing this. Do you think he is financially backing it?
Yeah,
if it goes to court, that is.
Yeah, he's being backed by the two fans out there. Apparently, they've got a bit of money behind them that they're willing to throw into this. But I don't think it's being backed by Staveley or Co. So this is just purely the two fans.
So it's a separate thing. What do you think? You agree with that as well, Sean?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking like about the end goal for the fans consortium, and it raises, like, obviously I like, some people don't know who they are. I personally don't know them by name. I know the trust. I follow like some of their tweets that's going on Twitter. But obviously, like you said, it will become very expensive when I get to that point. So it'll be interesting to see what the end goal is once it gets to that stage. Or is it like a ploy just to put another B in the Premier League's bonnet? I don't think it was, but yeah.
It kind of seemed like that a little bit at the time, but yeah, it seems to have got a bit of teeth in it now. But yeah, James Brown just said about the shares it was on about earlier. They all got sold in the St. John era. Not surprised.
They were all bought by Ashley, 100%.
Yeah, he just went in.
I did anymore.
Yeah, he just wanted the club, didn't he? We've got. Oh my God, we've got King John Un is on the line. He's saying the buyers are financing NCSL. You know, I think we just said that. Like, I kind of did think there was a possibility of it, and still do think there's a possibility of it, but I wouldn't like to speculate too much because I haven't really got a clue, to be honest. I don't know nothing. I don't know anything. It's just speculation. But shout out to King John Un as well. We've got fans like coming from all over the place. You've been poorly recently. Like, I hope you're feeling a bit better. Yeah, sending a letter is free, but the legal consultation is expensive. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, will it turn into this court case now, or do you think the threats were just kind of empty, hoping that it would push them? Because the Premier League got a lot of money as well. They can go and get these top QCs, and they can fight it all the way. It could get really expensive, and to a point where everyone just thinks it's not even worth it, spending more money on lawyers than the value of the club, and it just becomes it's pointless. Especially if at as you've just said a second ago, the end game, they're not going to have any percentage in the club. It's not looking like. So yeah, I don't see what's in it for them other than the takeover happening, which is what we all want. But
it also raised the questions on, if the Premier League didn't say the supporters trust as a threat, why bother even replying?
Yeah.
They must say it as some sort of threat, or must be taking it serious enough to warrant a response, and even ask for an extension.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably figuring out what it's going to do.
I totally agree with that, Sean. But just to add to it, or to accentuate on it, you look at that they sent a letter out, as an intent on taking this further. But when the letter was sent, the Premier League could have just have gone, well, we can't see a case for this, so no comment, and done it right there and then. So, it took them a week to reply, and then it took them another 2 weeks, an extension on top of that. So they must have had something has flapped them to an extent that they felt they needed to reply and to give their account of things. But unfortunately, what we got back was just a big, massive no comment, really. But they did slip up on mentioning that the club are in a legal battle with the Premier League, and that's unfortunately for the Premier League. Is that not breaking confidentiality with them putting that in the letter to the fans?
And that adds to it as well. Like they clearly just haven't responded to save face or worry about the reputation. It doesn't look like they care about the reputation over the past 6 months. And would they really waste their time responding to the Sports Trust if they didn't say anything, especially with them being in a legal battle with Mike Ashley? Are they really going to waste resource?
It wasn't for me. It wasn't a massive response from them though. And with the extension, the thing that worried me with it was I think the Premier League are still a little bit confident, because when they asked for the extension, the consortium came out and says, no, not happening. You've had long enough already. You've had months. You're not having the extension. But then the Premier League just took an extension anyway. So they would only do that if they felt confident. If they were scared of what was happening, they'd be like, all right, fair enough. We'll just answer it now. Because what they've said today, they could have easily said 2 weeks ago. Could have easily said. It wasn't really anything.
Detailed 9-letter response. So we don't know the full ins and outs of this letter. I mean, we've had a couple of snippets from different people, saying that this is what was in it and this is what was in it. But, the group have not divulged anything. I don't know whether anyone's been sent them the screenshots in their DMs or anything else. But, I mean, it's a 9-page response. So if it was just something that they didn't care about, it would just be 1 page and it would have been, yes, thank you for your letter. No goodbye. We don't care. Fuck off.
Typeface, probably using on those letters is size 62 or something though as well. It's 2 words per page. Each one just says, I'm not going to swear. I refuse to do it.
I'm waiting for Dom to get told off now. To be fair.
Each one says F off, each page. It'd be interesting to see whether there's any leaks of that stuff. And something else I did want to go into a little bit, what do you make of the actual Newcastle United Supporters Trust? Not the fans consortium, but the Supporters Trust. They've been getting a lot of slagging off today. I think a lot of it personally is unjustified. All right, fair enough. They didn't send in the letter of intent, blah, blah, blah. But I still back I'm a member. I still back them. I still think that they do a good thing. They do speak to fans. If you want to speak to any one of them, when people say online, they don't really speak to fans and stuff, they don't contact us enough through email. If you want to speak to them at any point and ask them a question, they will answer it. So yeah, what do you think of the slagging off that they've been getting today?
Was that?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Dom. Sorry.
Yeah, everyone's got their own opinions on the trust. This is something that, or is it something like 20,000 people who have subscribed to the trust and members. But at the same time, it's something that has stagnated and something that has. It's never moved forward from when it changed from the NUSD or something like what wasn't it, and then it got changed to the trust. But they've never really moved on, and I don't think they've ever really engaged into the club as much as they should. But that is it. You can't put it all down to them. I mean, the club have been poor as well with their communication. I think that the space we contracted to the Premier League to have 4 meetings a year for the trust groups and to the fan groups. I think last year we only had 1. So that's not good enough from really the club side. So yeah.
When you say last year, was that COVID year or the previous?
No, the previous season. Yeah. There was only 1 actual meeting with the fans.
disappointing.
I think they're supposed to have at least 4 a year, and it's not good enough. But the trust should really be pushing or kicking down the club's doors and saying, look, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that, you're supposed to be meeting with us at least. We'll say twice or 3 times a year at least. Why aren't you doing this? And I do think it's communication on both sides.
But what can they actually do though? This is the thing; it's hard.
It's the thing, you can create a meeting as many times as you want, but if the club don't turn up, there's not much you can do, is there?
No, remember the meeting they had recently when they brought up the takeover with the Premier League, and I think they said there was like 30 minutes overall that had to be edited, and then when we got the final version, bear in mind it's minutes. When I read the final version that came, I read it in 45 seconds. So what did the other 29 minutes and 15 seconds say? Like, there's a lot that the trust obviously know that we don't. Like, if anybody from the trust watching this, or anybody that used to be in the trust, should I say, because there was elections and stuff and people changed around. If anybody used to be in the trust, we wouldn't mind stuff getting leaked online. Like, you can do it under a false name or something, but I wouldn't mind reading some of that stuff.
I'm a member of the trust myself, so.
Oh, but we didn't get to see the entire 30 minutes of minutes. I think it was more. I think it was like 33 minutes altogether or something. We just got 45 seconds of that. So, how much do the supporters trust know that we don't? And
which is really good. They were given 15 minutes, weren't they? At first, they were given 15 minutes, and then they were given an extension by the Premier League themselves. So, was that half an hour utilised properly, or was it just like kind of, how do we fill everything else? So I don't know, but I think they were given the last 15 minutes like a last point before they had the meeting. So it's filling that gap, isn't it, and being prepared as well.
Yeah. We've got Sean on here as well. He's just saying about Keegan. Said he wouldn't take Keegan back. He's been out of it too long. Somebody like Les Ferdinand. What do you think to that, Les Ferdinand? Oh, sorry, Dom. Anybody could answer it. Sorry, but yeah, Dom. I'm going kind of like, because you're next to me, so when I ask, I'm going kind of that way.
Number one.
Yeah, number 1 and number 2. So yeah,
I think Les Ferdinand's quite an obscure one. It would be interesting to see what he does. I'd have, if I'm perfectly honest, I would have any of the Newcastle legends back in like a consultancy type of role. I think you'd have to be very careful on who you bring in as a manager, though. And I think that point on Keegan there, that's probably why I wouldn't have Keegan back as a manager. I think the game's moved on too much. It's the way the game's played's changed, like since Keegan was like in his prime as a manager. Les Ferdinand would be interesting one to see. I don't know if he would. Has he managed anyone before?
I don't think he has. No,
It'd be an interesting one to see, but I don't think. Obviously, I think that's the start of a smaller club.
To be honest, the first time I've seen his name kind of mentioned, like for coming back to Newcastle as some kind of role. I've not thought about it before. But as you said, the legends thing.
He's director at football at QPR still, isn't he? So
is he?
Well, then maybe he could leave that position and come to Newcastle. Mind you, we don't want a director of football, do we? We don't need it. Let them. Mind you, we do it at the minute. We kind of do it at the minute, like, because things are going badly wrong.
I think director of football is a continental way, and a lot of other clubs around the world are actually embracing that, having a director of football, because it takes the pressure off the managers. So, if you get a manager in that wants to run everything himself, then good luck to him. Someone like Benitez who always wants to run his own show. But sometimes having that director of football does take a lot of pressure and time off you, so you can actually manage your team. Taking training and the PR work that goes on behind it, and having that type of role come in, then it can help.
Take some of that pressure off. But going back to that case slightly, so we've got King John on his back again. Legend, this guy. So he says the case is a bit of a front. Ashley's legal action with DeMarco is the big one. That was what I was thinking as well. I feel like this is just something that's just thrown in just to throw him off a little bit and take some of their energy away from the fight with the QC with Nick DeMarco. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Do you think you agree with that?
Yeah, I was going to make this point before actually. Even if, like, as a result of the fans consortium action, even if it doesn't go anywhere, it has ate into the Premier League resource. Like obviously them drafting the 9-page response and actually engaging, that it's stretching their resource in some capacity. So regardless of where it goes, it's been a success.
Yeah, and it's drawn out.
And I agree. I think Ashley's probably the one that's probably going to be after them. Like,
but when? This is the question.
No, and he's probably got a more legal standpoint to do so as well. Like you said about being directly financially impacted by the whole deal.
Yeah, that's the worrying thing, isn't it? It's just the wording, because it comes from Michelle when she knows the law, and she says, and I spoke to her, like I says, do you mind me reading that out on the live stream? I won't misquote or anything. She says, no, it's fine. But that seems to be right. You've got to be directly financially affected for it to stand for anything. So
how subjective is that term though? Like directly, could it be twisted?
The sentence starts with, and as I said, I won't misquote it, but the sentence does start with, I think. So it's not something that, it is her opinion. Obviously.
Yeah. I don't mean Shell's statement. I mean, like, obviously, so in the eyes of the law, you have to be directly impacted. Like, how twistable is that term, directly impacted?
Yeah.
Could you twist it as though the investment in the area is directly impacting you? Or do you know what I mean?
Could be something like a deal that he's got with the Rubens or Stavely or the Saudis or, the fans consortium have got on the side, like, should the takeover go through, then we're gonna be in charge of this. And so it could be something like that.
Like, how far does that directly stretch? That term directly stretch, do you know what I mean?
Depends how much money you've spent on your QC, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
A good QC, I reckon, could win that one. I reckon a QC could win that one. There's got to be something there. There's got to be some reason that they've been financially affected. Otherwise, it wouldn't be anything. And as you said, the QC wouldn't get involved. So yeah, there's got to be something there. So yeah, we've got the under-21s. We've got I don't know if that's a final score. I think it should be a final score by now. Oh, did it finish 2-2? Yeah. Ah, shit.
Yeah, but just on the comments, someone put it was 2-2. But I don't know whether it finished or not.
You're right. It's literally the next comment underneath that one. Yeah, it's 2-2 now. 2-2. Fair play. Still playing better than our team are at the minute. So yeah, how long would the court case take? Southampton's took 9 months. It's just no way of knowing, is there?
You probably find it probably took a bit longer than that, because obviously they would have to, go through all the ins and outs of the Premier League and owners and directors tests along with everyone else. But how long did ours take? For us to get an answer. So if you look at it from the point where they got a no, which they did get a no, and to pull forward a case, it probably did take longer than 9 months. It probably took more than closer to 12. But yeah, it is what it is. What we've got to do is to keep hold and watch this space kind of thing. People are getting too ahead of themselves. We just got to watch and see how everything pans out. We will get our answer, and I keep saying on Twitter that this is the end of Ashley. It's not a matter of when, well, if it's a matter of when.
That sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's when. Yeah, that was a bit threaty. That was no violence on this show, matey.
The funny thing is, though, it's been like 8 months since we went into the first lockdown since March.
Unbelievable.
So the time the years flew by. I would happily wait another 9 months if we managed to get rid of Ashley, right?
Bro, can you believe it's like Christmas in just a matter of a few weeks? This year has been an absolute myth. It's just.
Oh, I need to start Christmas shopping now.
Thing is, like, how would Newcastle fans have got through all these lockdowns without the takeover? What would we have had to have talked about online? There'd have been nothing. The wars that we've seen this week would have been nothing compared to what it would have been like if there was no takeover to talk about. Yeah, it would have been Mike Ashley. Do you know what? I bet Mike, he's been loving it, hasn't he? Mike, he's been having a whale of a time. You know, to the point of people were even siding with him. Yeah,
get an SD sign just up there.
When he goes, you should bid for the old side. It's probably going to be. He's not going to want to move it somewhere else. Put in a bid for it. No, imagine that. Everyone's going to go out and buy Sports Direct mugs. But the thing is, right, going into Mike Ashley, like when Mike's gone and the club's sold, whether it's to the Saudis or whether it's somebody else, do you honestly think we're going to fully get rid of Mike Ashley? He's going to have some deal worked in there somewhere, isn't it? Kit deal. It's going to have some.
Wasn't that part of like the original negotiations that he had like a couple of years of sponsorship of the club? Probably.
I didn't see that, but I fully imagine that is the deal there, that he gets to sell the kits, you know, the replicas in the stores for the next flipping, for lifetime. You know, as long as the Siders have got it, he's probably tied that deal. He did it to Rangers, didn't he? Done the same thing with Rangers. Buggered off from them. Yeah, he left them, and then it got leaked not long after. It's like, hold on, you've not got rid of Mike Ashley after all. He's still making money off the back of you. So yeah, still avoid the Sports Direct shops. But yeah, Sean again, he said he's not a member of the trust. He doesn't really see what they're doing for the club apart from fans on the net having a go at them. Yeah, like going back to that, like kind of the fans having a go. It's been a bit unfair. I think the treatment, regardless of whether they've done enough in the past, I think the treatment that they've had today has been a little bit unfair that the trust have had. It wasn't really relevant to bring them up in the situation. And people would say, oh, it's such a great thing that the consortium have done, but look how shit the trust have been. But didn't need to add the second part. Can just say, you know, it's a good thing that the consortium have done. So, yeah, just think everyone should lay off them a little bit and chill with them a bit. Dom.
Yeah, I still say that they've kind of stagnated. Hopefully, with the new people on the board, that could change. You know, with Alan Beckett on there as well. Well done to Adam. But you know, it needs fresh, new ideas into the trust, and hopefully with these new people on the board, that could be the case. But I'll keep watching and I'll make my stake on them later on in the year.
That's it. As you said, there's new people that's took over there now, so could be seeing some changes. It was only 3-4 weeks ago that they had the elections, so yeah, there's still time for things to change over there. What do you think, Sean? Do you think they do a good job?
I think it's important to remember they're not like for the work they do. I think obviously we need advice, so that entity needs to exist. I think there's probably they're not the only ones to blame. They're not the only ones to engage in those conversations, like you said. Like the club need to be involved. I bet they're not the easiest to deal with, and I think it needs to exist. I think it's just obviously just needs a bit of guidance and a bit of time just to get it right.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there with the club communication.
The problem is they didn't. Sorry to butt in. They didn't communicate with the fans either. for a long while. So, there's bad parts on both sides, but we can move on.
Well, we can't move on. We've got to, haven't we? Really, otherwise we lose the game. Basically, we've got 3-2 Bolton on the screen now.
Yeah, just so.
So is that game still going? Sure, I thought that game was finished already.
No, it's lost. Final score.
We've got David. I'm not sure if that's a question or what. Rafa Benitez. Like, this is probably relevant to the fact that he's coming back to England, apparently, or talk of him coming back to England. A couple of fans have said bring him back to Newcastle. It's never going to happen, is it? That's not going to happen. Not under this regime. Not a chance.
No, Ashley at the helm.
Not a chance that's ever going to happen. But if things were different, would you have been, say the takeover happened, would he be someone that you'd put in your list to have him back? Obviously, by then he'd have a bit more money and more control over the team. I'd give him a shot.
He'd be on the list with a few others. I think there'll be a few people on the list. The thing, the like a lot of the respect I've got for Benitez as a manager was the Champions League team he won, where he won the Champions League with Liverpool. That team was completely outmatched by that AC Milan team. Like,
that was unbelievable, though. That I remember watching that.
Yeah, but totally honest, I wouldn't have Benitez back in the takeover. I'd much rather go for someone younger with fresh ideas into football. To honest with you, someone who's going to set up dynamically, rather than resorting to tactics that are proven. But now proven it is so easily found out and defeated. But I'd much rather have someone young come in and then get,
we're not laughing at you there.
Sorry, I was laughing at that comment.
That's what made me laugh then as well.
Sorry, Dom.
Oh, well.
Looks like the guy on the sofa with his crisps.
Yeah.
I think it's a valid point though, Dom. Like, obviously, even though Rafa's an awesome manager and you'd be great for the club, would it not somewhat feel like we're going backwards? I mean, we're not going. It won't be going backwards. It's just like you just want. Would you not want new across the board?
I kind of would, but I don't feel it'd be a backwards move as such. I feel it'd almost be a new role for him, because like he had
a new Rafa.
Yeah, new Rafa, because he didn't have that control. But it is a worry that like he couldn't go and knock on Ashley's door and get what he wanted, but Bruce can. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's his downfall. Maybe he just didn't have the bottle to go into the office and actually say what he wanted. We heard about the arguments and stuff that went on between them, but no one witnessed it. We've got his Rafa's word on it, saying, I demanded this and that. But Bruce has done all right, hasn't he? He's managed to get what he wants out of him.
Do you think it's because Bruce is a bit of a yes man? It's almost like a reward, or like, oh yeah, I'll give you the transfer money because you're doing as I say, or you're doing what I want.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? And this is probably something I should say on the other channel, on the conspiracy video. But I was thinking the other day, maybe all these old boys, maybe they're all like Freemasons, and they're all just looking out for each other and doing what Freemasons do. There is. Because I guarantee most of these old boys are Freemasons. Guarantee they are. Dom's nodding his head there. Like, what do you think? Would you think there's any substance behind that theory, or it's just a wild conspiracy?
There was a Chris, there was a Chris Kirkland interview, an article I was reading into what he was saying. Bruce is a big man. He's a great coach. He's tactically sound. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking, what the hell are you on about? But then, you've got to go to these people who speak up and say, right, let's get rid of Solskjaer at Man U and bring in Bruce. If you think he is such this great manager, why isn't he in a job like Man U or Chelsea or Liverpool? Why isn't he in these jobs? Because he isn't. He's just not that man. And everyone who comes out, journalists and ex-players or ex-mates of his, he's just not. He's not the manager. Yeah, okay. You can go back to when he was at Birmingham, Wigan. He seemed to get the best out of them teams, but he's just not a big man player and a big team player.
Tell us how you feel, Dom.
Yeah, don't hold back. But yeah, there's Steve Bruce on the screen there. Look, he says, "Wonder what my mate Robbie Savage has to say about the transfer gossip." And it's just another pundit, isn't it? Robbie Savage, and they're all at it. They're all like, where does it come from? Why do they all kiss his ass so much? Because they can see everything that we can see. They're not stupid. They've got football brains, even if they are tiny, some of them. But they understand the game. They can look at stats and realise. Because people say, well, this is what the pundits say, his win percentage is not actually that bad. But it's the worst in the Premiership. So it's not that great either, is it? If your record is worse than everybody else in the league that you're in, then you're doing something wrong. So yeah, they just kiss his ass, and I don't get what it is. Robbie Savage.
The problem is, when Pardew was at Newcastle, everyone was going, Pardew, wow. And it was, but then if we got rid of Bruce and we could have Pardew back, would anyone take that?
I don't know about possibly Pardew. I probably would take him. I don't know. Houghton, different question. 100% take him back. Houghton, 100% take him back. But Pardew, probably I would, because he can't be doing much worse than what Bruce is doing now, can he? So yeah, maybe I would.
He's got a better record than what Bruce has.
But Takeover, no Pardew. Definitely no to Pardew. Do you know what? But Houghton was great, man. I was actually going to get a tattoo of Houghton, and then flipping he got sacked. I was so happy, like with Houghton. For me, he was one of the best managers that we'd had for years. Since Keegan, definitely, or since Robson, should I say, we'd had some absolute trash. We had Ruud Gullit at one point. Can you believe that? Ruud Gullit. Who else was there? Who else did we have after Gullit? There was just so many just absolute flops.
Dalglish.
Oh God, Kenny Dalglish. Yeah. Was it Dalglish or was it Robson that signed Pearce, Rush, and Barnes all on free transfers? Was that Dalglish? Yeah, it's Dalglish. Yeah, because it was the Rush and Barnes connection. Well, we got free transfers though. Can't really argue, but that was a strange one. That was Rush, Barnes, and Pearce, like all at the same. I remember watching it. I remember one game in particular. I think it was the only game that all three of them played together. And we was playing Man United, and we went 1-0 up about 2 minutes in. And I was sat at home with my missus watching it, and we went 1-0 up. I got well excited. I said, right, get your coat. We're going down pub. So I went down the pub, sat down there. Loads of Man U fans and that. I've walked in the pub wait, let's have it. Flipping, it's 1-1. So, oh, no. Should have stayed at home, see what's going on here. I think we got done 3-1, 4-1 in the end. But terrible day that was. Terrible day. But yeah, Sean is support. I heard we meant to get.
The best player we got out of that lot. Sorry to put in there, but the best player we got out of that was Stuart Pearce. Stuart Pearce was still, good player, good lad, and but you talk about Rush and Barnes. They were literally on the last legs, weren't they, when we got them? But Pearce was still an awesome player and did well.
I think he was about 33, 34 when he came. Pearce, he was, but. He's old psycho, isn't he? He's psycho. You could put Pearce on the pitch now, and I bet he'd still go in. He'd still take out some legs. And I love Pearce. Great player. When he scored that goal, that penalty for England, when after he'd missed his penalty during the World Cup, it was one of the greatest moments ever in football history. Just his face, the passion that he had for England was amazing. But yeah, this Sean, he says he's heard about the new kit manufacturer, which are Liverpool-based, and NCSL, I believe, are also Liverpool-based. NCSL are Liverpool. I didn't realise that. But yeah, that's all right. The companies are based all over. Companies are based all over. Half the kits are made in China, and that's where the coronavirus came from. So. You know,
The things with this cat story, it's been taken aback because I don't know whether it's still the case, but it does have links to Ashley, which can see in another light. You know, people going, "Oh, it's linked with Ashley, so we're not going to get the takeover." But I'm not sure how much Puma were playing. I thought Puma were paying about $6 million a year, but then we've taken on another one for $5 million. I'm a little confused by that one, but yeah.
Could it be that it's easier to get out of the contract with these guys? Should the Saudis take over?
Yeah.
And if Ashley's got a stake in it, it could be his last. It could be him doubling down to keep a hand in the club, I guess.
Yeah.
He wants to make money everywhere he can, doesn't he? That's it. He's not going to turn it down. 5 weeks.
I think she meant Christmas.
Christmas. I was trying to think then what I'd said. Yeah, Christmas. Is that all it is? 5 weeks. That's coming around too fast, that is. And 3-2, it's finished. The under 21s. Looks like we missed a good game there. And Liam says he could see us getting Mourinho if we get the takeover. He's not joking. I could see that as well. Mourinho definitely wants a job, doesn't he? Like, should there be a takeover?
He loves the tune, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's already come out. He's a baby magpie or something, he said, wasn't he? So,
yeah. So when the last takeover was going, or when the last lockdown was happening, and he was making all these comments in the press and that, kind of letting people know that he was interested. Would you like to see Mourinho?
Good manager, but I think he's slowly starting to get found out, isn't he? Really.
Kind of happened at Chelsea a little bit, though, wasn't it? He was the king of 1-0 when he was at Chelsea. He didn't do it straight away, even with all that money. So he's not this. He nicknamed himself the special one. The fans didn't call him that. He nicknamed him, and it kind of stuck. Good manager. He's not a bad manager, but would you take him now over Bruce? Is that a silly question?
Yeah, it's snap his hand off over Bruce.
It's not going to happen, though, is it, that one?
It'd be interesting. Like, could have Bruce.
Yeah, I'd take anyone right now. Anybody over Steve Bruce. Anybody.
I'll stick my my CV in for it, will I?
It's possible. I want to see Malcolm McDonald. Every time I see him talking when he's on Steve's show, I just think, oh, mate, like, because he's still very much, like, knowledgeable of the game. I think he could go in. I think he could do he'd definitely do a better job than Bruce, 100%. So, yeah, like, do you think that could ever be a possibility? Do you think he'd ever want to get back into it, or he just can't be asked?
No. I think he's just retired now, isn't he? He's loving his home and his family life. So yeah, I can't see him getting back into football unless it's some sort of role within, the FA or something like that.
Yeah, I think he'd be great though. I think he'd be great. Just him and Keegan, just have him as like hype men at the club. Just have them at the start of the game, just come out and just let them do the team talks like before the games and at half time. Let them do that. Just say, Bruce, step out of the way, lad. Just let these lads come in and talk. But yeah, we've got Poch. I can't even say his name. And Mourinho. Yeah, I can't say it. Who would you take out of those three?
Allegri would be good, but Pochettino, bit younger, better, new ideas. Mourinho gets found out after a couple of seasons, doesn't he? So I don't know. I'll probably take Pochettino, but I don't know. I don't know. It's up in the air now, isn't it? It's irrelevant, I suppose. It's unless we get a takeover. But from my standpoint, Allegri has been a winner everywhere he's gone. Mourinho has been a winner. Pochettino has yet to win anything major. but he's a younger guy with.
He's doing some hanging around now, isn't he? He seems to be hanging
Yeah.
around, waiting for something to come along. Like,
Yeah,
what's he waiting
wait.
for? I feel personally he's got a
I
promise.
think he's waiting for Man U. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's waiting for Man U.
I don't know. I think he'd like the job. I think he would like it, but I feel like he's. I don't know. I feel like he was waiting to see what happened with the takeover at Newcastle. That was my thoughts originally.
They did reach out to him, didn't they? I'm sure the consortium reached out
Yeah.
to Pochettino.
Did they?
Yeah, like because obviously when they were thrown when it was like said to be nailed on, I'm sure they started reaching out to people, reaching out to all sorts. Well, I don't know what if it was speculation, what wasn't, but apparently they're reaching out to all sorts of people, like giving them like basically promises.
I think Lionel Messi was one of the ones that came out at that point.
Koulibaly, Messi, Poch. There was a few of them.
Mbappe. It was just
Mbappe.
Lorenzo Insigne or something like that. Who they approached, the Italian forward, because he came out in a recent article to say that he had been approached by the consortium to be one of their target transfers, but as we know, that never happened. But I can't think of his name. If anyone can come on and comment, I think it's Insigne. I think his name is.
Oh yeah, I know who you're about. Just on the back of that last comment about the managers, I would really like to say Pochen, but I would really like to say Mourinho, just for the case that Bobby Robson brought him up, and it would be nice. Like it would make a nice story to say Mourinho come and like finish the job that Robson started.
Yeah.
It would be a nice tale. Make a nice documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, I was going to say Netflix are going in, or Amazon are going in with the documentaries at the minute for the football. Obviously, there's been the Spurs ones, and what was I reading? There's a Newcastle one that's coming out. I saw somebody who was commenting online yesterday. Apparently, it's been 6 years in the making. I'm not sure who it was that made it, but I think was it about our season in the Championship. But that's out, I think, in the next couple of weeks. We've got the Jackie Charlton documentary that's coming out shortly as well. I think that's December. But yeah, Steve Bruce is a dinosaur. We've been lucky this season. It is luck, isn't it? Like literally, like the stats look terrible, but they make him look better than we actually are. Like it's ridiculous that the stats actually are more in his favor than they should be, and they're terrible as it is. Like what?
Even like injuries have gone in his favour as well. We're coming against Everton. Richarlison and Rodriguez are out. Two of the most probably prolific players this season, bar DCL. And obviously we're facing Chelsea on the weekend, and turns out that Chilwell's injured.
Said that about Southampton though, didn't we? Injuries are going in our favour, and then didn't. Do you know what? We're probably going to go out and beat Chelsea like 7-0. It's going to be. We're all going to be sat home like, I'm not even going to watch this game, and we're going to put on teletext. Or does that even exist anymore? Put on whatever and be like, bloody hell! Like we're winning 5-0 here at half time. Missed the right game. Can't see it, but that's the way this season.
I have this conversation with a few of my mates. Like they sometimes back Newcastle and sometimes they're back against Newcastle. And I was like, yeah. It's just daft because you don't know what Newcastle you're going to get. You get Newcastle that could beat Barcelona, and then you get Newcastle that could beat off like Wrexham. No offense to Wrexham fans.
I don't think there's any watching. I don't think they avoid social media and watching videos altogether. The Wrexham fans. But yeah, who do you think we're going to play up front? I think it's going to be Carroll. Do you think? I don't see what formation we can play, or it's going to be Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton's going to end up going up front.
Well, we hope not, but I don't think any of our strikers could even fit in the squad because the way that we play our tactics. Any strike we put in there at the moment is going to struggle. Joe Linton. I think we have seen glimpses of what he can do, but he doesn't do it enough. But the things with Joel Linton, he does drop quite deep. And once we do get the ball, he's nowhere near the box or nowhere near getting into the box. So, yeah, probably will be that. We have had some news on Wilson. It's not as bad as it was first thought. Ready for Chelsea, we'll see. But possibly could be ready for the next game. So, yeah. I'd much rather see Gale play, but I don't know how close he is to fitness and playing first team football. But we don't have many. Some people have said bring in Carroll, just to make a use of himself. Yeah.
A little bit more movement up there. Like the Wilson injury, it's caused us a huge problem with Chelsea. Massive problem. I mean, what's going to happen with St. Maxi? He's going to be restricted, isn't he? If he's there, he's going to be restricted. They're going to be all over him. It's going to end up going off at half time with weak knees because they've just kicked the shit out of him. And then it just falls to pieces after that. I think like St. Maxi, great player, but he could actually be one of our weak points in the team. They're just so heavily reliant on him that everybody else just becomes lazy. Nobody else moves around. It's just, all right, get the ball and just hoof it. Just hoof it up the field, give it to St. Maxi and just let him rely on the rest. But it's not working, and it's not working at all this season. There's been a few times where, he's had a few touches of magic, but generally, defense are wise to him now. Midfielders are wise to him. They know what he's going to do. They know exactly what he's going to do. So, would you play him against Chelsea?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I think you have to, though, don't you? Because if we don't, then we get a pace then.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'd much rather see him and Fraser on the wings, and instead of just having each of them on the same wings, just keep rotating them. Yeah. So they're not always being marked all the time. Yeah,
you've got to leave them not knowing, having a clue what's going on. Like, if you become predictable, then it's just game over. But that's the trouble. We've become predictable when St. Max is on the pitch. Like, what I'm saying now, I'm not slagging him off. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be played, but I just feel like they're wise to him now. It's so hard to play him. He just gets took out of the game early, and it's just, he gets left with, he's got nowhere to move. He can't make movements with the ball. Even the long ball, defenders are wise to just throw players in front of it, so we can't even collect the ball in the first place. So I do feel like it could be a bit of a weak point sometimes.
We used to have the same problem with Shelby, didn't we?
Shelby,
we went through a phase where every ball had to go through Shelby, so if Shelby didn't play it, we just couldn't move forward, and we just looked stuffed without Shelby.
That's down to no, isn't it? He doesn't know attacking football.
Yeah. I hope the whole Almiron stuff hasn't affected the dressing room either.
I forgot about Almiron. I forgot about him. Yeah, we've not even mentioned Almiron. Like, what do you think to the Almiron situation? Do you think he's after going, or do you think it's just a tactic to try and get more money?
Oh, but with the agents, it's always down to money, isn't it? That's their job, to find them new clubs to earn them more money, and ultimately earn them more money. So the agent is always going to do that. So anyway, I'm going to have to shoot off, lads. Thanks for having me on, Ted, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, no worries.
No
worries. Cheers for coming on, mate. Anyone that's watching as well, just go and click in the description and go and subscribe to Number 9 Talks as well. It's a good channel, so there's loads on there. But yeah, I'm probably going to call this a day as well. Just going to put these last couple of comments up.
Man.
But if Takeover happens, will we win the league in the near future, you think? I don't think it's necessarily about winning the league straight away. Like, that's not the kind of although some of the names that were mentioned earlier that they've kind of reached out to, it did look like they were trying to kind of go out and buy the league a little bit. But I do hope that that's not the model that they want to go on, because it won't work. You know, they've got to build foundations to the team, and they need to build a squad rather than a first 11. So yeah, like, what do you want to see them do? Would you want to see them kind of go out and buy the league straight away, or just spend some time building it up over seasons?
I don't think with the money in the league you can anymore. I think there's too much regulation around it. It took Man City a while, didn't it, like, to get it right, and they didn't even win the league last season, and they've got more money than anybody.
There's loopholes though.
Yes, of course.
Loan signings with, you know,
Option to buy.
Yeah, it's that seems to be kind of the way it goes a lot of the time when there's these deals. You can basically do what you want if you know how to jump through all the loopholes. But anyway, I'm going to call that end of a shift there, because honestly, I really need to go to the toilet. But yeah, we'll do this every time there's something going on. Like, we'll do this stream, we'll get it going. Obviously, there's been loads of news today. But yeah, that's exactly what I'd agree with. Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves have, like, I don't support Wolves. They're not a second team rope, but I like the way that they've done things. I like watching Wolves play. They're a good side. So yeah, I'd take that format. I'd take that all day.
I'm like the same with Leicester, to be fair. Like, I like how Leicester had a bit of success, and they weren't just one of these clubs, like, where, even taking us as an example, where we enter Europe and then we just fall off a cliff. They've actually managed to maintain it and build it properly from that. It might have been, look, it was just a really good season from them when they won the league, but they managed to build on it instead of just throwing it all away.
And they're still having a little bit of success now. Challenging. No one ever thought the way that this season has gone, teams like Everton and Leicester and stuff like that, it's just been insane. Seeing Man United all the way down there, I've never seen anything like it. I predicted, if you go back into my videos, I predicted at the start of the season that Man United would have a shocker. Didn't think it would be this bad, though. Didn't think it would be this bad. But you could see it coming with Man United. You could see it coming. But anyway, I'm going to call that a day there as well. Anybody that's still watching, I think there's 14 people still here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please also go into the description below, click on Fan Feuds, and go and subscribe to that channel as well. And we're going to do this, no problem. We're going to do this again more often. Last time I did a stream, I was doing from the phone and the software just couldn't keep up. I was 10 minutes behind everybody else in conversation. It was awful. So yeah, this has gone a lot better. So yeah, thank you very much for everybody for tuning in, and we'll do this again. If you've not subscribed to the channel already, just hit that button below. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll catch you later.
Having me on, mate.
No worries, mate. Catch you later.
I'll catch you later. Bye.
In a bit.